Good evening. Hey, Coaching You for You family. I am Annette and I am your host here this evening at Coaching You for You. I'd like to thank you for joining me this evening and remind you to hydrate. It's important. It's the best thing our bodies is made of. So tonight we want to talk a little bit about finding a way to forgiveness. And I chose this topic because there are often times when, in some of the coaching sessions, people come in and they say, I'm not letting them off the hook. And so, finding your way to forgiveness is just a little short chat here tonight. The first thing I learned was that forgiveness was not acceptance. And once I got that piece of it, and I understood the value of forgiveness, because initially I didn't. I did not. I did not understand the value. And there were times when I was so deeply hurt in situations that forgiveness just didn't seem possible. But tonight I'm here to give you my experience, strength, and hope in finding your way to forgiveness. And so it doesn't mean that you have to. Forgiveness is about a few things. Most important, healing. The other thing is, and in healing, and recognizing and accepting the value in forgiveness, my life changed drastically, because forgiveness is something that can and will make you angry and keep you angry if you allow it to. And so, understanding that forgiveness is for you, it was for me, it was a part of my healing. It was what brought me to it brought me there. It brought me to my whole self, my whole authentic self. I'm not typically one to hold a grudge, but there are times when I couldn't separate, the grudge thing for the unforgiveness. And I would say, I'm not holding a grudge. I let that go. In fact, I may have, but the reality was I had not forgiven the person. I had not forgiven them. And so, in learning to forgive them, I had to learn that it didn't mean that um, I had to go back to anything. It doesn't mean that because it's family or close friends or even somebody you love, well, you can love your family too. I just want to make that clear. I do. Um, or even with people that you love, just because you do doesn't mean the forgiveness is automatic. It wasn't until I understood the value in forgiveness and the damage that it was doing to me by not forgiving that I got in touch with some things, and some things being me. And so I had to let go of my resistance to forgive, because I was resistant for a long time. And I was resistant because I was, not going to be happy until, and I didn't realize this, but I wasn't going to be happy until they apologized, until they admitted what they had done and accepted responsibility for it. And I mean, fully admitted it, because when we ask folks for forgiveness, it's not simply about, will you forgive me? Or can you forgive me? It's about, can you forgive me because I did A, B, C, D, and E. And I'd like to ask you to forgive me for that. And anything else you believe in your heart that I've done. That's truly asking for forgiveness. So, in asking for forgiveness, I realized it wasn't about anybody else, it was about me. There are some things that I should have done differently, and I certainly feel like there are some things others could have done differently, but they didn't. And I don't control them, I control me. So, it's about healing. It's about your superpower. Your superpower, my superpower, their superpower is about forgiveness. It's forgiveness. I'm telling you because it empowers you in a way, and it also creates a sense of freedom once you have forgiven that you don't even understand until you're on the other side of it. Find it in yourself and figure out what it is you need for you to forgive that person. And it's not always going to be, it can always be, and it shouldn't always be an apology from them for their bad behavior. We're talking about forgiving others. We're talking about forgiving behaviors. We're talking about families. We're talking about friends. We're talking about people we love. We're even talking about people we don't like. You have to think about that too, because there are times when people you don't like do things that are incredibly difficult to overlook. But again, I found it wasn't about them, it was about my healing. I didn't know it then, but it was about a sense of freedom and getting my superpower, mine, the ability to walk away and let go. And hey, sometimes letting go means that we're going to have to let go of people and allow them to experience what it is they have to experience. But before we can forgive anybody else, I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for all the things I let slide, for all the things I put up with. I had to forgive myself for that. And wherever I was in that space and time, forgiving it is what freed me. That's right. Forgiving it is what freed me. And so understanding that forgiving myself and forgiving other people was so very important to my peace, and I value peace. I'm working on the masterpiece that God has given me, and that's me. I am his masterpiece, and in that I want peace. And so, at some point you have to realize it doesn't matter who was right or wrong. It really doesn't. It does not matter who was right or wrong when you want your superpower, when you want to go right instead of left, when you want to go to the right where your strength is and not to the left where your weakness is. Not forgiving people creates a weakness in you that you do not understand or respect until you forgive. Yeah, it creates a weakness in you. And so when you hold on and you don't forgive, it's like drinking poison and expecting the people who hurt you to suffer from that poison. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. And, one of the hardest things I ever had to do was to release somebody that I loved to the consequences of their behavior. That's the message tonight. Release them to the consequences of their behavior. It worked for me, it can work for you. Forgiveness is about healing, it's about your superpower, it's about freedom, it's about letting go. And most of all, it's about forgiving yourself. And so forgive yourself and forgive others. And I promise you, if I'm wrong, once you get through that, come back here and tell me that at Coaching You For You. Come back and tell me. I can promise you this from my experience. This is my strength and this is my hope for you. That you will come to learn and understand and recognize first, learn and understand the power of forgiveness, the value in it. It's not about them, it's about us. I'm a much happier person today. And some people have done some horrible things. I'm actually writing a book about it, and then I'm going to have to leave several towns when I finish with this book. But all jokes aside, I am writing a book, and some people are going to be very, very uncomfortable with it. But I'm telling you that forgiveness is the key to your happiness. It is the key to your success. It is the key to your healing. It's the key to your superpower, and it's the key to your freedom. Thank you for joining me here tonight at Coaching You For You. I am Annette, your host, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a good evening.